Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Prime Minister leaves for an official state visit to Canada. The Ministry of Housing to make a number of housing units and lands available to the public. And the Port of Spain port to be relocated and expanded. Thank you for joining us. Days after her return from Washington, D.C., the Honorable Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has left Trinidad and Tobago on the invitation of the Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honorable Stephen Harper, to pay an official 4-day visit. During the visit, the Prime Minister will pay a courtesy call on the Governor-General of Canada, His Excellency David Johnston, and meet with the Honorable Thomas J. Mulcair, Leader of the Opposition. In the interest of developing trade and investment ties during the visit, one of the premier activities will be a business reception that will be hosted by both Prime Minister Harper and Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar at the Royal York on Thursday, 25th April. Trinidad and Tobago and Canada enjoy a long-standing and dynamic relationship, the origins of which precede the achievement of independence by Trinidad and Tobago on August 31, 1962. While in Canada, Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar and her ministers will actively explore opportunities for further engagement in identified areas such as energy, national security, trade, public sector modernization, maritime services, and development planning systems. During the Prime Minister's absence, the Honorable Errol McLeod, Minister of Labour and Small and Micro Enterprise Development, will act as Prime Minister. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar is scheduled to return to Trinidad on Saturday, April 27th. In other news now, 1,000 families across Trinidad and Tobago will benefit from 2 initiatives under the Ministry of Housing, Land and Marine Affairs, which will make a number of housing units and lands available to the public.
The Ministry of Housing, Land and Marine Affairs has cited May as an important month for its operations. Speaking to News 4, Dr. the Honorable Rudal Munilal says the Housing Development Corporation will embark on a massive house distribution drive which will run concurrently with a massive land distribution exercise under the Land for the Landless program.
This year in May we mark 3 years in government, and in May we have a very special occasion that is coming up. The Housing Development Corporation will again do a massive house distribution and allocation ceremony. We expect by May to have 500 housing units available for members of the public again. Last December we had 500, May another 500. That would mean in 6 months we would have distributed over 1,000 housing units, which is very important for us. We are also pursuing the Land for the Landless program, and we are seeking to distribute 500 lots of land for needy citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. As you know, the Land for the Landless program is one of the pioneering policy initiatives of this government, and we are trying to assist low-income workers and citizens by allocating a lot of land so that persons who are desirous of building their own homes can do so. They will also get favorable treatment in terms of low-interest loans and the provision of some support for the construction of a home.
The Honourable Minister expects these 2 developments to satisfy the housing needs of 1,000 citizens. Dr. Munilal also spoke of a task force initiative to incentivize the private sector to construct more homes.
As you know, over the last 2 decades or so, we have had a decline in private sector construction of homes for members of the public. There are several reasons for that, including the cost of labor, the cost of materials, the crowding out effect by the public sector, particularly the HDC, and the private sector has declined. We are looking at stimulating that sector, and I'm going to Cabinet with a recommendation to establish a task force comprising of both public and private persons to look at how can we revise and incentivize the private sector so that they can join us in that campaign to construct more and more housing units, particularly in that case for members of the middle and upper income segment.
Through various partnerships, the HDC has stepped up its operations and taken up a stronger place in the lives of citizens via a number of initiatives. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Government has taken a decision to relocate and expand the Port of Spain port, and the benefits are said to be far-reaching.
Residents of Sealots and the country by extension are expected to benefit greatly from the relocation of the Port of Spain port. Speaking to News 4, Minister of Housing, Land and Marine Affairs, Dr. the Honorable Rudal Munilal, detailed the activities that citizens can expect in the Sealots area.
The former administration had taken a decision to relocate the port. When we came in, we had to review that. We had to look at the policy implications and costing. And the government has decided that we will pursue that policy of relocating the port to the Sealots. That involves a massive construction project involving land reclamation. There are serious engineering and environmental issues there. We have decided to look at that. But part of that is also a housing expansion program where we will look at the construction of middle-income apartment buildings so that persons on the BTAM, on the Sealots side, who are there now, they will have access to proper housing, and we will clear the area for commercial and economic development zone, namely a port city. The development not only of a port, but of all the goods and services and the economy that go along with port cities, restaurants, entertainment, services for the ships and so on. And we're looking at Sealots for that massive investment.
The Honourable Minister says the project is a positive one and reveals that only benefits can be derived.
Well, in terms of the social issues, I think the people there are in support. The trade union is in support of it. I think the residents are, because the representatives of that area have already indicated that they're in support. It was, after all, a policy of the former administration. And the people would like that because it speaks to job creation. It speaks of proper housing, the facilitation of proper housing, job creation in that area, economic activity. We expect that to be a buzz, to be an economic hub. And the persons in that area are really crying out for opportunities, economic opportunities, so that we'll create a new zone of economic opportunity in that area.
The news comes on the heels of a number of incidents which took place in the Sealots area, following which residents have been calling for government intervention and assistance. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
When we come back, the Legal Affairs Ministry observes Earth Day. As the world celebrated Earth Day on Monday, the Ministry of Legal Affairs launched a new program in collaboration with Plastic Heap, Office Us Limited, and ACE Recycling, which seeks to reduce its contribution to climate change.
The earth is our mother. She has sustained us from before our birth. The air, the water, the nourishment that we receive comes from this earth. It is about time that we acknowledge the need, as man has grown in numbers and his potential to do damage and to affect the environment, that we now have a duty to future generations to ensure that we set the standards that will allow our children and their children's children to know the beauty of this earth.
The Honourable Minister of Legal Affairs was speaking at his ministry's launch of the Go Green program at Registration House, Port of Spain on Monday. The program was launched on Earth Day 2013 and seeks to reduce the environmental impact of the ministry's activities while building a better future for the country and the world at large. The first phase of the initiative is a plastic, paper, ink and toner cartridge recycling program and is but a small step toward addressing climate change, as recycling and efficiency efforts reduce the use of energy, water and other natural resources.
A year ago, we have asked that we become the first paperless ministry. I understand this is the Ministry of Legal Affairs, where almost every single thing is done by paper. We've gone some way along in terms of removing the need for paper and to go purely digital. To that end, we've partnered with the Ministry of Trade and using the internet, and so we have a lot of our applications made digitally, electronically, and we are moving down on the need for forms and paper and so on. So we have started here.
The program will be expanded to other facilities of the ministry, and its staff will be educated on ways to recycle both at work and at home, while the public will also be encouraged to participate and learn.
Make a call to all of our citizens, the old, the young, and the not so young, to embrace this, because this is not a fad. This is not something that we will start today and forget about tomorrow. This is a knowledge that the responsibility that has been placed on us in this generation, we must take that responsibility, set the standards, and ensure that we protect the environment, because as I started, this is Mother Earth who has nurtured us. It is about time that we reciprocate and give in kind to the nurturing that we've had to nurture our environment.
Meanwhile, the Honourable Minister assures that legislation is coming to deal with matters relating to the protection of the environment. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
The Ministry of Community Development joined with the Siparia Regional Corporation to host a Bell Festival, or that should be a Belly Festival, at the Siparia Basketball Court, High Street, Siparia. The event, which is included in the Siparia Festival, is being hosted by the Best Village unit of the Ministry in celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Prime Minister's Best Village Trophy competition.
It is indeed fitting that the celebration be held in Siparia, which has been the home of Best Village activities from the inception of the program in 1963. The program began with a welcome from coordinator of the Best Village competition, Ms. Gwendolyn Salik, who says the festival is being held in honor of those who have made invaluable contribution in the area of belly dancing.
Today's festival is being held in honor of Nellie Pope and Jean Coggins Simmons, grand dames, who have both left their mark on the development of the traditional belly dance, both at a community and a national level. Of the 32 years I worked in this program, I spent 19 in Siparia. And St. Patrick East has produced national champions in all the categories of the Prime Minister's Best Village Trophy competition.
Minister of Community Development, the Honourable Winston Gypsy Peters, delivered the feature address. He says the main purpose of the competition was to develop the indigenous traditions of our newly independent nation.
Since then, Best Village has been the single most consistent platform for developing and preserving Trinbagonian folk traditions.
The minister says he recognizes and commends the ministry's staff through the last 50 years for their commitment to preserving this unique aspect of this country.
Earlier today, you saw 3 of the ballet queens who were instrumental in performing this indigenous dance: Imelda Lynch Griffith, Angela Boney Phillip, and Yoselin Nelson Williams. I would like you to join me in saluting them for their contribution both locally and internationally by giving them a lusty round of applause.
The program also included performances of the Petit Ballet by 5 community groups, and there were also demonstrations from the Grand Ballet and Congo Ballet by various community groups, including Are We People Theatrical Horizon and the Northwest Laventille Cultural Movement. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
When we come back, cricket features in our Sportscast. Stay with us. It was a monumental day in cricket as West Indies opener Chris Gayle single-handedly rewrote the T20 record books with a blistering inning in the Indian Premier League. The left-hander hit 175 not out to lead Royal Challengers Bangalore to a crushing 130-run win over Pune Warriors at the Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bangalore. Gayle's 175 was the highest ever individual T20 score, but that was not the only record falling on the day. He also smashed the fastest century in the format by reaching 3 figures in just 30 balls. His 17 sixes was the most struck by a batsman in a T20 innings, and with that helped the Royal Challengers Bangalore to the record for most sixes by a team in a T20 innings. The 263 runs amassed by the team is now the highest total in T20 cricket. Gale's innings was ably supported by opener Tilakaratne Dilshan, who was part of a 167-run opening stand, an IPL record during which he only made 33. Gale inflicted pain on all the Pune bowlers. He was severe on Ishwar Pandey, the highest wicket taker in this year's Ranji Trophy, who got smashed for 21 in his first over. This IPL, the first over from Mitchell Marsh, cost 28 runs, while Aaron Finch, the third captain for Pune Warriors this season, who bowled an over hoping to restrict Gale, but didn't bowl again after being blasted for 29. And then there was Ali Murtaza, a specialist left-arm spinner. In his first game this season, he was hammered for 28 in his over. If Gale's formidable batting was not enough for a match-winning performance, he then chipped in with 2 wickets in the only over he bowled, which cost 5 runs, and thus cemented his place as the best T20 player in the world. More news when we come back. Stay with us. For many, the Parliament may be seen as a place where politicians meet to argue with each other. However, this is obviously not the case, and representatives of the Parliament are taking steps to venture into communities to educate citizens on the true functions of this very important institution.
The Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago has embarked on an outreach program to bring the Parliament closer to the people. On Thursday, Senate President Senator Timothy Hamill-Smith and Member of Parliament for Lahokita Talparo, the Honourable Jairam Simangal, along with parliamentary staff, visited the San Rafael Community Centre, where they engaged students of the Brazil Secondary School and the Coreal Secondary School.
It's really a great occasion and an opportunity for us in the Parliament to come before you in an outreach, because we want the Parliament to touch all the corners of Trinidad and Tobago so that the people may be more aware of what we do in the Parliament, how they themselves can interface with the Parliament. And that is the point at which we come to the question that is at hand. What is the role of Parliament in promoting democracy? And that role requires a representative rule. And of course, you, as students, are part, if you like, of the community that is represented in Parliament.
Mrs. Badesi, principal of the Brazil Secondary School, expressed her appreciation for the initiative as she believes it's a chance to empower the youth.
The topic being explored today, that is the role of parliamentarians in promoting democracy, is certainly going to provide them with information that's going to serve them well, not only now, but in the future.
The secondary school principal says that too often the youth feel left out of the decision-making process. She believes the information they stood to gain would have renewed their faith in the democratic process. The students were given the opportunity to ask any burning questions that they may have had concerning the Parliament and its functions, which were answered by the Senate President, the Member of Parliament for the area, and the staff of the Parliament's communication unit. The initiative is expected to continue throughout Trinidad and Tobago, where citizens would gain a better understanding of how the country is governed and the role they themselves play in the process. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association TUTA celebrated its 34th anniversary at the Centerpoint Mall in Chaguanas. The evening included a dinner and many featured speakers from the association. Retirees were also presented with tokens and certificates.
In celebrating its anniversary, TUTA says it is ensuring that the profession advances in an eclectic and confirmative direction.
The fight to ensure that the rights of our educators are upheld and that the working conditions are conducive in enhancing the teaching-learning process. Teachers must not be bombarded by unnecessary distractions.
Mr. Lumpkin says teachers should be encouraged to seek new programs of excitement in their charges.
Our union must seek the benefits and welfare of its members, encouraging positive social interaction through the tenets of sporting and cultural exercises. We must celebrate our achievements, hence the reason for us being here, celebrating the 34th anniversary of our union.
Tutu believes that 34 years ago, the sea of unification of the three existing teacher unions brought about transformation, evident of what the union represents today.
Today we have a strong union, association if you may, which has and continues to grow, and which has never lost sight of its invariable goals of promoting excellence in education, tagline from our ministry. Our learning curve continues to stretch, never ending.
A special award was also given to Devanand Sinanan, the former first vice president, who is now the principal of the Palo Seco Secondary School. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.